Ladies and gents, we've got a decider on our hands. Argentina versus Brazil. And I'm going to repeat myself a little bit for those that are here live. But this one here, this is an experienced player who's already been in gold before and has experienced a lot in tournaments. That is TTL, the Brazilian here, up against a player who was motivated with Titans League, has been doing a lot better in ranked games, been in that top 100. And it would be probably deaKer's best tournament result ever. If it's not already to get to this point, it would definitely be if he were to beat TTL today. We have Dravidians for deaKer. And Dravidians are very good on water. His pond is very small. I think it's got the same amount of fish, though, right? 8 and 8. Okay, so that's good. That would have been a logistical nightmare to figure that out. But anyways, Dravidians versus Malay is the matchup here, which surprises me a bit. That tells me TTL is probably saving Japanese for another map. So, the focus on this map is always to fight over the pawns, and we could see some pretty ridiculous things, but I doubt we're going to see knights in this matchup then, right? Malay can make knights, but their knights are very, very weak. They usually would opt for their elephants, which are very cheap. Dravidians just straight up can't make knights, and while they can make elephants, they're just full price elephants. So Dravidians are weaker in that regard, but Dravidians getting the plus 200 wood when they arrive to next age can be helpful. When they build their dock, they get some population space. That can also be very helpful, and they've got faster firing skirmishers, very good archers to work with. So it's probably just going to be Navy and range units from him. And I'd be surprised if TTL went elephants, but I can't rule it out in the event that deaKer ends up going for quite a few skirmishers here. T90, let's talk about the fact that Brazil had 3 relegations on TTL Season 1, deaKer included, and Miguel has never even been in the playoffs. So this is a Brazilian guy who's very upset with the Brazilian performances. Did you ever think that the negativity of Brazilian fans is not encouraging for these players, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when you talk smack about them? Not that you're talking smack, but just saying, right? Maybe you've reached the point where you've had so much faith for years for them to go very far that you have given up at this point. But, we've got TTL here. TTL in a position to go up to gold. TTL could have a good performance this month and then maybe be on his way to platinum for Season 4 when that happens. Listen, I have very little sympathy for Brazilian fans because Brazil has had so much success in so many different ways in Age of Empires, in the various sports. All right, I understand you're used to winning and being really good at things. I understand that. I understand the disappointment. There's nothing wrong with that. But as an American casting Age of Empires right now, I am very jealous of the success of your countrymen, okay? Also, I love deaKer and Miguel, so it's hard for me to be too frustrated with the guys. Anyways, deaKer, he's clearly going to dock the south, right? And pretty easy dock for TTL in the north. You guys want to see something cool, though? deaKer, nice vision. Nothing crazy. No bonuses at play here. Watch this. TTL. Whoa! Lots of vision. That's a Malay bonus for you. And that can be helpful if someone tries to sneak a dock on you. Very weird wood lines in this generation. Like, deaKer has a very wallable map indeed, but his gold is very forward. So you may need to opt to go to this gold, and then if you opt to this gold, you need to wall out here, which is more work, and then wall over here, which is more work. Yeah, he's choosing to just push in his deer at the moment. And TTL was kind of doing the same. Both players will go out to find each other. Yeah, that's also a very good point. MBL, Vinchester, and Nikov got relegated from platinum to gold in the previous season. So I think it's very hard. I mean, it's a competitive format, and it's a brutalizing format. And it's shown already in all the seasons that there are going to be upsets. So I know we're just talking about Brazilians, and those 3 aren't Brazilians, but still. Oh, God, deaKer goes directly into TTL's TC. Disaster. Oh, that's so painful for him. And honestly, it's a bit unfortunate because he didn't see any massive indicators. He didn't see any houses. Probably didn't see the straggler trees till it was too late. And now he's not going to have vision on what TTL will go for. Both in the openings on land, where TTL is docked. He's just going to have to assume a lot. Scouting is so important here. And st4rk instantly is like, okay, I've full wall now? Yo. I mean, Dravidians, it would be very likely that they might go for Man-at-Arms, which is actually what deaKer is going to do. st4rk, without even confirming this, just adding his walls. And that's something that st4rk is known for as a player. He loves to wall. He's loved to wall ever since he became a well-known name in Age of Empires 2. And I think he won Nations Cup with Brazil. I forget what year that was, but he was on that team. Geez, I still remember Legacy of the Huns. I think that was 2015 where he won that tournament. It was a Huns-only tournament, which was a lot more common back then. And he beat MBL. Full stonewalled in that, by the way. Oh, deaKer trying to sneak. Does st4rk see this? deaKer doesn't have the confidence. deaKer abandons the strat. That's kind of funny. Okay, so look at what st4rk has done. So, he's gone for walls, and he's going for a stable. Something his opponent might not expect. But he's gone to 6 fishing ships out of this pond. That's very uncommon. deaKer has a lot of wood right now. I'm sure he wants to spend. Could also be adding fishing ships in his pond. And he's going to send this villager over here. I like scouts on this map, but it's not so much about using the scouts against any of the army. It's more so about using the scouts to protect the ponds. And actually, whoa, st4rk is doing a loop-de-loop here too. Honestly, scouting's been really poor from both of them, and there's a hole! This could be so bad for st4rk, or so good. Oh, you get that man-at-arm upgrade here, deaKer. It's cheaper with your civ, dude. st4rk, quick walling, trying to kill this. I guess deaKer doesn't have the food, so maybe it's not worth it, but there was a hole in that wall there, Mr. st4rk. And so now he has to keep the scouts at home. deaKer's point of view. st4rk did not know the dock was there because he didn't scout it. deaKer's point of view. Will he notice this? He actually, st4rk can't dock here because the shorefish is blocking it. Wall in the Ville. Wall in the Ville and kill with an archer, deaKer. Okay, he's going to palisade the tree so he could attack the Ville. But I think if he actually just walled in the Ville there and brought an archer, that villager would be as good as dead. Scouts for st4rk. He's on 7 fishing ships from that one dock. He's going to kill the militia there. And st4rk's sneak villager failed. And unlike when deaKer's sneak villager failed, he's not able to save it. Bit of a weird game so far. It definitely feels like both players are easing their way into the series. Very greedy from st4rk. And then obviously for deaKer, everything's kind of a result of him losing his scout, excuse me. But, I mean, he's got a dock on the right. And then he's got a dock on the left. And that is something that really will frustrate st4rk in the long run. And it's not something that really st4rk should have allowed, but because the hole and because he used his scouts defensively like that, he wasn't able to patrol these ponds. And st4rk will send a villager this way. deaKer has a galley. Will be kind of awkward, though, to patrol the whole shoreline. He really will have to pay attention to it, but that could deny the dock. T90's farming skills. Dave doesn't have the stamina. He's an old man. He doesn't have the stamina. I didn't want to call him out on that. So instead, I'll just make that joke behind his back. He's not going to cast anymore today. So st4rk saw the galley. It looks like maybe he's given up on a dock here now. And deaKer has walled this way. deaKer is fully walled. deaKer's got as many fishing ships as st4rk, but he's diversified the ponds that he has them in. Meaning it should be better for him long term. There's the galley. And I really like how deaKer's playing this. st4rk making a lot of skirms right now because he knows archers is pretty much the thing that both players will want to end up relying on. And what do you do if you're Dravidians and your opponent makes skirms? You can't go for a stable, so you probably would want to go for siege, I guess. Did st4rk see there was gold in the back? Yeah, he spotted the gold in the back. A weird generation here. But obviously, could be really awkward for deaKer if he can't take this gold eventually. deaKer's going to click up the Castle Age after that Ville. Skirms are on the way here from Stark, and Stark could definitely break through here. There's no easy way for you to stop these scouts from coming in. You need the wood to either place a house here or to place a stable. But Stark could always attack this with that as well. This is why I'm not the biggest fan of Dravidians here, because now you're floating food, and it feels natural to go knights against skirms. But because your tech tree's flawed, you have all this food, and you don't really know how to spend it. You could go for a stable and go for scouts yourself and go into light cap, but Stark just applying pressure. Again, he's actually fish trapping here. Malay fish traps have lots of food on them. It's like 2,500 food or something like that. This is the first time I think I've seen fish traps in Feudal Age in TTL, but that's because Stark is stuck on one pond. Stark did walk over here. He did encounter the palisade, so he'll know that deaKer's on this side. So we can contest the fish here, and then he can just have the safe fish here. deaKer will be in Castle Age way faster than Stark. Actually, I say way faster, but Stark's melee. So Stark is now only a minute away. And still deaKer, he's going to want to upgrade this army and take an engagement. But that's so many units. Really good aggression here from Stark. There's lots of archer production now. Making sure he's still walled. The thing about Stark is you're never going to see... Or not never, but he doesn't really have big flashes of micro-brilliance. But he's super consistent. He's always making the right decisions. And I think the big decision that deaKer didn't realize until now is this. We'll see if deaKer can defend this pond. Because you don't want to give Malay 2 pawns. Siege makes sense. We're going to see a Scorpion first for deaKer. I would prefer the Mangonel. I do not like Scorpion in this position, but he's going to go for 2 of them. The scouts could obviously kill the Scorpion, though. deaKer has 10 crossbows that he can't do anything with. This house is going to go down. And Stark's going to have his upgrades, but oh, okay, the Scorpion's here to save the day, I guess. Feels like Stark's still trying to take the house down, though, right? It's like, okay, I can break through. deaKer trying to finish the house. Finishing the house. It's not really working. It is working. The Scorpion's paying off. Stark, you need to back away here, dude. I like the idea. And he was close, but well played from deaKer to keep the pressure out. And deaKer able to chill a little bit, focus his attention to the left-hand side. Also, this palisade's tilting me. I keep looking at it at the minimap, and it's not anything important anymore. But the fact it's there is really bothering me. So, okay. Stark needs to upgrade to War Galley if he really wants to be competitive in this pond. He does have 2 docks, but so does deaKer. deaKer drops the second TC. Stark also dropping the second town center. Keep in mind, lots of golds here through the middle. And there's the elephant from Stark. I was wondering if we'd see that, but the elephant goes down. It's 3 Scorpions and then some crossbows for deaKer, who just really needs to pile some pressure onto Stark. That's the main issue right now. You have to hit Stark. You can't just react to the guy constantly. So it feels like it's Scorpions in defense and then crossbows going forward. And Stark should notice this because Stark just lost a crossbowman there. And he definitely knows because he's placing houses behind his gate. Checking for vulnerabilities here. University was placed from deaKer to keep things protected. And honestly, things are coming together quite nicely from both. Both players are looking pretty sharp. deaKer getting more value from the aggression, though. And props to deaKer for having 3 pawns. And able to have this decent of a fishing economy. Still an issue, though, that he can't contest the Malay fish. But Stark will still have to invest into fish traps. War Galley upgrade coming in for Stark for that left-hand side. I think at this point, they're just going to trade evenly over there. Actually, I take that back. Stark will actually win this side. He has more ships. Certainly will play a role. And deaKer's got a lot of ills in queue, indeed. As he brings the siege forward. Stark doesn't have any siege yet. It feels like this army is extremely vulnerable for him right now. He definitely needs some mangonels. And he's going to try and retreat. And as he tries to retreat, deaKer's going to find him, and deaKer will have ballistics in 10 seconds. deaKer could kill all of this as long as he doesn't run into this shot. He's micring away from this army. He's able to get away, and now he has ballistics. He's chewing up Stark's army now. And Stark's down to 4 crossbowmen. He's down to 3 skirms, and this is the deaKer that we've seen in TTL. And this is the deaKer that Stark needs to be worried about. Wow. And his economy's good as well. It's not like his economy's bad. Now, Stark does a good job at not breaking in these moments and hanging on, but it's going to be difficult to make the right decisions if there's this much army around. I feel like deaKer needs to try and hit the wood lines, or he needs to try and pressure this right-hand side. He needs to make maybe even a siege workshop here in the middle hill. He's got to hold more control. At 31 to 18 KD. One sec, guys. I got to check my phone. Okay. So I am going, as many of you know, I'm going to Australia in a couple days. And my fiance just got to Australia, like just now. So she took a 7-hour flight. She took a 15-hour flight. She's going ahead of time for a conference. And my phone was blowing up. So I was kind of like, you know, wanted to make sure everything's good. She's delirious due to the lack of sleep and how exhausting the flight was. She was sending like a bunch of different text messages. I don't think she wants me to read her text, but she says, I had coffee and I'm now delirious. Is that actually how you spell that? Wow, I've lost it. Also, I couldn't spell Eureka earlier. Why was she saying Eureka? Anyways, we're all good. I got distracted. Stark just got a turtling up here, right? Hoping to click up to Imp eventually, and recognizing his Civ goes up to Imp a bit faster. We'll have the fish on this right-hand side, but deaKer's already on the way to Imp. And so, deaKer with Arbalest could... Arbalest and Bomber Cannon could dominate this game. How is Stark supposed to come back in this? This should just be an Archer battle, right? Maybe see another range for deaKer. Producing out of 2. He's played so smooth. A forward castle could be an option. Stark doesn't have ballistics. Stark only has 5 crossbowmen. Stark is just spamming villagers and spamming fishing ships. deaKer surprised me when he 3-0'd Clement. The player he beat in the previous round is a player who was in gold before and got relegated. But making it to gold means you've worked your way through silver, right? I didn't know if deaKer could do it. Yeah, I've made no progress on the Sydney meetup. I have to look at emails and see the details on it. I've been really exhausted. But I will possibly see if I can get things done today or tomorrow. Would be nice to be able to meet some people while I'm over there. But the people I've been working with, while the place is awesome, it's been hard to coordinate some details, especially with the time zone change, or time zone difference. All right, deaKer is in Imp. He is behind economically. Significant when it comes to food, actually. And this is because of Stark's fish boom. We have Bracer. We have Chemistry. We do not have Arbalest. He can't afford Arbalest, but he's looking to buy Arbalest. And deaKer really should be looking to pile on pressure with this. I don't... It feels very tentative for a player who has all the control right now. Stark has 2 mangonels and 5 crossbows. This woodline should be getting hit. This woodline should be getting hit. I think he just wants to force the fight through the middle, and he doesn't want to leave the middle and give it up. But at least from what we can see, I mean, he has had this position this whole time I talked about, you know, some Australia stuff. He's still just kind of waiting here. Maybe he doesn't realize how much Stark is investing into the fish trap situation. The concern would be if Stark gets a lot of elite skirmishers. But even then, you should be able to have some siege combined with your Arbalest to still be in a good position for deaKer. There's the castle. He hasn't had a castle. He couldn't make traps, but he's got a bomber cannon on the way, and he's going to run through. Starting to make outposts on the sides. I like that. This is something that pretty much like only Stark can do, man. He's just been in his base this whole time, just turtle, turtle, turtle. Eventually, he's going to pop out of here with a bunch of army. Also, having even just like some archers here could be good against the fish, but it's not your focus right now. Skirms are in production for Stark. He could lose his town center. deaKer knows about that castle. deaKer knows about this gold. I think you can make your own skirms too if you're deaKer, if you're concerned here. I think making your own skirms and then spending all your gold on siege is the way to go here. You already have enough Arbalest. You don't want to make too many because then you could possibly be countered. But this is good from deaKer. He finally hits the wood line. Did see a small little army there from Stark as Stark is looking to expand. Stark has now lost one of his 2 town centers as he's still turtled up in his base here. 140 pop for both. Doesn't feel like it, but that's because Stark has a lot of his population on the water. Yeah, there's no way Stark gets his castle up. deaKer's got army here. deaKer can deny this. It's just risky plays from Stark because he doesn't have map control. He's just completely overwhelmed. Just now getting ballistics too. He will have his own bomber cannons, but it's 1 versus 2. Soon to be 3. Will eventually be 4 then for deaKer. And deaKer should absolutely win this game. He just has to... He has to prevent Stark from expanding, right? And oh my god, this is crazy. So Stark hasn't been killed, right? And he hasn't shown much. He hasn't really even shown the ranges. And surprise! We've got 1,000,000 skirms. He's going to bring skirms so he can breathe and take this hill. And now deaKer's like, what? What do I do? deaKer's going to start to tech switch into champion. I don't like that decision. Because your opponent can go archers mixed with their skirmishers. But Stark doesn't actually have gold. I didn't realize he doesn't have any gold income. He's going to TC that gold. So I guess if he doesn't have gold, champion would actually be perfect. The Ambassad's coming in. It's cheaper to tech into with the Dravidians as well. Getting the blacksmith upgrades, getting the barracks upgrades. Big shots there from deaKer as he shifts his siege over to pressure this hill. And that is a lot of skirms from Stark. He's got 55 skirmishers. He's going to have a whole lot less if shots continue to hit like this, though. Something is Stark's doing right now is kind of comical. He's getting the stone mining and the gold mining upgrade right now. Like, I need more stone and gold, but he can't find stone and gold to take. deaKer, again, with that population lead. And he's now showing longsword. Still missing lots of upgrades. But if your opponent doesn't have gold, it could make sense. deaKer has vision here. So he could deny that gold. And Stark is on this gold now. And yeah, like we said, his choice is going to be to go archers in combination with everything due to the fact that he's seeing longswords. deaKer needs to just start snowballing the siege here and start pressuring this castle. I actually think you can give him this position and you just push the main base. But either way, you just have to get your siege rolling here and you have to collect your army and not run into castle fire if you're deaKer. Like, really, really, really don't run into castle fire. I like this castle. Castle up, protect the gold, use the siege, pressure that castle there. Stark still somehow alive, still somehow in it. But he's working with gold that he might not have forever. He needs to defend in this position. That Treb will go after the castle. There used to be tons of skirms for Stark. He doesn't really have the army count anymore. There's 20 more army for deaKer. Stark has no potential for raid. But can still hold and stabilize, maybe. He's got so little control. But I mean, this is nice. He's gotten away with that. He'll go to the stone too. He does have 3 Trebs on deaKer's castle. deaKer doesn't have any stone anymore. And deaKer's castle is going to go down, which is pretty bad for him. And that means he might like get stubborn and try and continue to push Stark here. I think you push Stark's main base if you're deaKer. Look at his army count. Look at his siege. Just push the main base. Don't try and fight up this hill unless you have more cannons. Gambesson should help here. Okay, so Gambesson is obviously a big change, and it really helps the champion play in Age of Empires 2. But if your opponent still has Arbalest, Gambesons, in my opinion, doesn't make a difference. The fact that Stark has gold is insane here. A mix of skirms and a mix of Arbalest is better than Arbalest and Champion, in my opinion. And then also, your Stark isn't spending gold on one of his units. Whereas it is still gold for both the two-handed swordsman and then also for the Arbalest. A Champion upgrade also a little late here, which doesn't help deaKer. But man, what a fight. How on earth has this game turned into this? And deaKer's also denied these resources. So Stark's actually going to run out of this gold, if anything. Again, Dravidian skirmishers fire faster, so it would make sense to me to make those. We do have them on the way. It's just that 6 pierce armor is not enough against a unit that does 10 damage. And obviously castle fire and everything else. And oh my goodness. Stark is actually held. He still could have gold problems. But if he has the Trebs, and these Trebs got 5 kills, he killed a bunch of bomber cannons and Trebs, he could just push this castle back and suddenly start to breathe. The army difference is just ridiculous right now. It's also a lot more difficult to have to produce out of different types of buildings. I think deaKer needed to go skirms and arbs. I think the champion switch makes sense when your opponent's only on skirms. Or maybe if it would have just hit earlier, maybe if he kept the siege alive. But Stark doing Stark things. Trebs are a bit exposed here. That's a little sloppy. He's going to Treb down that TC. Loses Trebuchets in the process. He's got 81 army. I wouldn't mind to see Force Levy here. I think as long as you're 200 pop, you can get the Force Levy technology, and you can think about it in the long run. What you don't want to do is you don't want to research Force Levy before you're pop capped. Because all the resources you do have, you want to go into your army right now. Remember, Stark is still kind of running low on gold. This has been helpful for him. He's also got some vision here. He's building up some buildings here. He wants to raid deaKer on the side. Just skirm v skirm here should be an advantage for the Dravidians, but there's not enough skirms on the field to deal with these Arbalests that Stark has. Stark just going to run deep into deaKer's economy. But, you know, in this position, Stark's going to lose the skirms because the champions are there too. But deaKer's falling apart, right? He still hasn't saved his castle fully. He has units hitting him on this side. He has arbs he needs to deal with here. He's got so many different spots he needs to be with army, and he just doesn't have the army count that Stark does. But, I mean, Stark's losing his Trebs! But Stark actually has gold. deaKer does not. It's not enough skirmishers to kill these Arbalests. Elephant's the real MVP over here. These Arbs find the stone. deaKer is 87 eco versus Stark's 116. Keep in mind, 30 of the eco for Stark is fishing ships that are on fish traps that will, like, never run out. And Stark now able to expand over here a little bit. And Stark is a real methodical player, so he's gained the foothold, and now he's starting to poke and prod and take control of these other areas. I feel really bad for deaKer right now because he played so well. He played so freaking well. Like, Stark was just backed up into a corner. This is classic Stark. If you ever want to show someone a game to explain Stark's playstyle, it would be this. Turtle, get a really high population, and then start to take the map back. He gives up map control more than most high-level players. Majority of high-level players would die if they didn't have the map control. Army count's still pretty low for deaKer. And he has no gold income beyond the one relic that's in that monastery there. And Stark has castles on both sides. He can take gold and stone anywhere he wants. He's diving deep here with this army. He continues to make elephants out of this stable, because it's pretty good against any skirms that are out. Like, look at this. Random elephants on the sides. And the GG's called. What in the world was that, man? Like, just look at the... I wish we could almost get, like, a heat map. Okay, let's look Stark's point of view, okay? Just watch the mini-map. Look where he is. Look where he is for how long? He like, never left those walls. Still never left the 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 walls. And then he leaves the walls and everything starts to happen. Man, so my take, I think there are some players who might consider this a throw from deaKer. I really think that this castle, I don't think it had to be priority for him. I think if you see Stark brings his whole army here, I think your play is possibly to just push this area. You take out his production, you take out everything. I think that, but the bigger thing for me, instead of adding barracks in this position, I know you're Dravidians. I understand there's Gambesons now. I understand that many people out there might feel like, well, T90, I feel like it should have worked. It's just not the play. A combination of skirms and arbs is easier to mass, easier to control, and it's very effective. I think he just needs to add more cannons and max out on his ranged unit number. Kind of similar to what I had said before with the conversation about Stark. When you're 200 pop, that's when you can start to think about the future tech switches. At this point, he's still not maxed out. I think if he had more skirmishers and a couple more cannons, he does take this out regardless. Anyways, a good game. Let's check res collected. Should be better food for Stark. Definitely not gold, right? Yeah, better food, better wood. And he had more eco brought in. He didn't really need the gold because skirms are so effective for him. So ridiculous. I don't know how Stark does it, man. But he got it done. All right, I can feel my battery draining, so sorry if the energy's not as high as it was earlier in the day. This is the third series, and the first two sets went to the fifth game, so pretty ridiculous sets today. We've got Stark in the red, playing as the Franks, and then in the blue, we've got deaKer playing as the Khmer. This map has been very scout-heavy, and Khmer and Franks are both very good at that. I think Franks, with their cheap castles, would love to take control of this middle area. Khmer will probably look to make it messy. And I could see maybe Knights, maybe Pikemen being there long term. These two shorefish is normally what players use instead of milling the berries right away. But maybe the Frank player could justify going for the berries anyways because of the forge bonus. Wood lines, hard to come by because it is Kilimanjaro after all. And honestly, I think I just like slightly prefer deaKer's map. No, I take it back. I prefer Stark's map because Stark's gold is a little bit easier to lock down. I could easily see a wall towards this bit of water here to protect the gold. Wood-wise, though, I think I prefer deaKer's because he's got like two fuller chunks of wood. Feels like you can't justify taking this wood because it's beyond the water. I guess this wood counts as two chunks, maybe. How does a plane make a pit stop in the middle of the ocean? Yeah, what I was saying was I was checking to make sure that she got there okay instead of her flight like crashing. Obviously, planes don't stop in the middle of the ocean. It's not part of the plan, so I was just keeping tabs on the flight tracker. There's lots of birds on this map. Holy crap. This probably isn't that uncommon, but I've just noticed they're all in the same spot here. Look, it's very birdless over here. Lots of birds over here. No birds over here. So, I wonder if Stark's going to wall up early. Because that's a very Stark thing. And I think here you might actually want to pile on a bit of pressure with Spearmen and also with Scouts. Your Scouts are stronger in Feudal Age than the Khmer Scouts are. And Khmer normally don't make a barracks. So sometimes we see a couple Spearmen forward with the Scouts. Makes it hard for the Khmer to defend. I think scouting the corners is important, especially if you look to play defensive. There's so many times players need to escape. Like, let's say you're walled to here, and you're being pressured on the front, and then you're like, crap, I need gold. And then you haven't scouted this gold, or you haven't scouted this gold. See, quite a few instances of that. Even wood as well. Just knowing what resources are in the corners is really valuable. I think scouting's pretty good from Stark. From deaKer, he hasn't scouted near as much. But he is walling up. He seems to have a good game plan there. And probably will be scouts here. Yeah, my first flight is 7 hours. And then my second flight is like 15 hours. And then once I'm in Australia, I have a 2 or 2.5 hour flight. So If you guys have movie suggestions or show suggestions, send them my way. I did ask on Twitter, and I got a lot of really good ones. I'm actually kind of bummed. I just watched Succession, and it's one of my favorite shows ever. I actually really enjoyed that show, and I almost wish I wouldn't have watched it at home. I wish I would have saved that for the flight. But I think I definitely have some must-watch movies that I've never watched that are really big. Like, for example, I've never watched Inception. And I feel like it's a pretty popular one that I should give a shot. So, shoot, I forget. I don't have my phone. Oh, no, I do have my phone here. What else is on my list right now? Oh, I wanted to see Joker, which is like the new Joker, and I wanted to see the new Batman. Also, I wanted to see a couple Wes Anderson movies. So I'm going to try and watch Moonrise Kingdom. The Prestige is the best movie ever made. Okay, I'll put that on my list. I don't even think I've heard of that. Prestige. deaKer has not even left his base yet, guys. He's looking to play defensive, and that's fine, but I guess he's got no loom. It's pretty risky stuff. I think he'll be fine, though. Stark's just going to go for scouts. Lord of the Rings trilogy extended version should cover you for the whole flight. I honestly might watch the second and third Lord of the Rings. Maybe. My goal is to have options. So I'll have options, and then whatever I'm feeling like when I'm sitting there with nothing to do and not being able to fall asleep, I'll go for. Okay, deaKer's stable's going up. Stark sees it. Stark has scouted a lot more of the map here. deaKer's just stayed at home. I don't think he's going to leave until he gets his walls down. So it's not the most confident opening from him. We will see a spearman forward from Stark, which is what I was discussing earlier. The Khmer player will normally just make the stable. So they don't have a barracks to make spears. Oh, shoot, I didn't update the score. My bad. Okay, Stark's up 1-0. My bad. Deadpool? Yeah, I've seen Deadpool. You know what we just watched recently was the new Mario movie, which is pretty good. It was cute. I liked it. It's not on my list of like movies I need to watch. Obviously, I just saw it, but it wasn't like that crazy, but it was nice. Seinfeld? I do like Seinfeld, but I've watched a lot of Seinfeld, so I probably wouldn't watch it on a flight. I like really intense dramas. If I had to guess it, please don't go down. Please don't go down. No, deaKer, this is so annoying. Oh, it's so avoidable as well. Oh, because again, you can't deal with the scouts because you can't deal with the spears. Gosh, this is so rough for him. Now, yeah, you can hop inside of houses, but he built his houses as part of walls, and that's still lots of idle time. And man, it's just like game one was so good. Game two, he's opened so defensive here, and just a couple more hits on that palisade and everything's fine. He could counterattack. But now he's lost a villager. And now he's lost majority of his possibility of counterattacking. And this is just as bad as it gets. All the villagers inside of this are weak. And they have to run. That's 5 villagers that aren't working right now. And Stark's able to just bring in more army. Honestly, I think that's just GG. I think deaKer looks tilted out of his mind, and he understands the situation, and it's going to be hard for him to go into the next game playing correctly. God. But we said it at the start. You have to know, like, the weakness of Khmer is the fact that you're probably not going to make that barracks. And deaKer tries to quick wall this one. Doesn't happen. This villager's still exposed, and the GG's called. Disaster for deaKer. Quick 2-0 here for Stark. And Stark goes from having no map control and in a position where he had no gold in the first game to 20 minutes later, he's up 2-0 here in this series. Stark just kept it standard. He kept it straightforward. Made lots of scouts and made lots of spearmen, and deaKer tried to wall. And he was half a second away from maybe getting those walls down, but too greedy for my liking. I would have liked to see him open a bit more offensively. Make some army. And maybe he feels like he needs some greed against Stark because that's what Stark does against him. All right, so here we are. Stark up 2-0. And to repeat myself, he could easily, this could easily be 1-1 because of how game 1 went, and then full disaster mode for deaKer. He's probably like, I need to lame. I'm frustrated. I need to steal some stuff here. So there he goes with his eagle. Don't give me movie suggestions that have to do with planes crashing or snakes on a plane or anything plane related. No plane movies while on an airplane, please. I was actually, the last time I was on a flight, I was next to a guy, and this is a big lame, who was watching a movie about a crash landing, where these people were crash landing a plane because the pilot had a heart attack or something. I was pissed at him for that. I didn't know the guy. I couldn't say anything, but I noticed it. I was like, dude, this is not the time. Jeez, anyways, is this the time to lame? And good start here from deaKer. There's an idle villager here from st4rk. And st4rk, you know, lost some scout HP. Also might end up losing this sheep. And if deaKer is able to continue, deaKer will actually be able to steal more sheep as well. And that could really slow down st4rk. st4rk already 40 seconds of TC idle time here with the Chinese, which is far from ideal. deaKer continues to chase this scout from st4rk, which is surprising to me. And at home, he does need to find some of his own resources. But the scout is faster, so I think continuing to chase the scout with your eagle is not what I would suggest in this position. Wow, st4rk's map is brutal. Massive hill, forward berries, all his golds are forward. Jeez. Combine that with the fact that he's down some food, and he also hasn't found these sheep yet. Means that this, I like deaKer's chances here. I think what I would do if I were deaKer against Chinese is I think I would go... would I go to Militia Drush? Yeah, I think I would go to Militia Drush into Archers. I might even consider Man-at-Arms. If I had the scouting on how bad this map was, it's very non-Mayans, but I might even consider Man-at-Arms and a Tower Rush. Deny the wood line, deny the berries, something like that. deaKer's looped home now to find his own resources that he could have missed out on. And he hasn't found his deer yet, but he's going to come over here and find his sheep. So he took a risk, paid off. st4rk trying to find deaKer, found the golds. Up against the edge of the map here, he might see the boar, but won't be able to take the boar. And yep, seems like he wants some revenge here. But should be pretty good for the Argentinian. Things are looking pretty smooth. Even the sheep are going to go around that way. As st4rk is milling his deer right now. All because he doesn't have his scout at home and he's going to run out of food. This would be really bad for st4rk. Let's see how he adapts to this. Milling the deer and then building additional mill on the berries. That tells you something's gone wrong here for st4rk in Dark Age. If you want a movie that isn't made in Hollywood for a change, The Flu 2013 is pretty good. So you're saying, like, what does that mean, isn't made from Hollywood? In terms of the production quality? Is it, like, how do I describe this? Is it clearly lower budget? Like, is there drawbacks? Or is it just, you know, it didn't come from a big Hollywood studio? I know, I guess the majority do, but I don't really look at movies that way. I guess all the movies I watch come from Hollywood, though. As in, it's not American? Yeah, but, like, is there a quality decrease, you would say, compared to your average Hollywood movie, I suppose? In terms of the acting or whatever else? My brother said that he got into watching, I think it's Indian... It's not soap operas. What is it? Anyway, so he had an employee from India, and he was like, it was recommended to him from an employee, and he watched it just to make the guy feel good. And he was like, actually, it was fantastic. He watched it with subtitles. Look at st4rk being annoying here. This deaKer's trying to push this deer. So, okay, it's straight archers for deaKer, by the way. If you're wondering what his strategy is going to be here. Velocipaster? Dude, I know Velocipaster. I never watched it, but I know that. It's like a classic bad movie, right? st4rk clicks up very late. Had such a rough time keeping villagers producing. And deaKer's still pushing deer here. I feel like pushing the deer is unnecessary. I feel like scouting your opponent's opening is more important here. You already have food here. You already have food here. I think scouting your opponent's the biggest thing, but this is extreme greed from a player who I think is lacking some confidence, or at least lacking some... He's not feeling good right now. That's for sure after how game 2 went. Okay, we're still talking about movies. Yeah, maybe it's Bollywood. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. He didn't say it was Bollywood, but he said it was something else. Okay, The Flu is a Korean movie, but the production quality is really good. Pretty big budget. Okay, got it. Like, I don't really care who produces a movie. I just, you know, if I'm going into it and I have to, like, you know how some things you're like, listen, like Age of Empires is like, hey, listen, the graphics are way worse than present day, but I promise, if you pay attention to the strategy, it's fantastic. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. Because a lot of people would look at these graphics and think it's horrible. So st4rk's going to open archers. He has no food underneath his TC. deaKer also opening archers, but deaKer had the range faster. This should be all deaKer here. deaKer should dominate in this position. He has good enough eco to get for good fletching timing, something st4rk might struggle with. But deaKer's not moved forward here. He hasn't tried to apply pressure with his advantage. He's just falling back towards walls. It's like there's been this shift in his mind. And maybe he just does like to wall. And his game plan against st4rk was, I need to wall. And he's Mayans, too. He's got cheaper walls. But, dude, move out here, my friend. There he goes. 2 eagles, 2 archers. Wall central here from st4rk. Even checking to see there's a hole in the back, and he'll get those walls down. And Spearman, which was never really going to be all that helpful, ends up going down. And deaKer, he's going to see the tower and he'll have to move elsewhere. But I still think that's fine. Like, this is the hill that wins you the game from here. You can maneuver around with other things for the time being, try and pressure the berries and whatever else. And do some nice chip damage as you macro at home. Let's sit behind your walls. I watched the Dune movie, and I didn't like it. And I said that on stream before, and people were like, someone was like, oh, you probably didn't read the books. But yeah, I didn't read the books, and I felt like they rushed way too much plot line, and it really was disappointing to me when at the end it was like, part 2 coming eventually. I was like, what? I just watched 2.5 hours of your movie. You didn't tell me ahead of time there's going to be a second part? Didn't like that. But that might make me a filthy casual. 5 archers for deaKer with fletching. st4rk does not have fletching. st4rk is really late on farms. st4rk's eco is disastrous right now. And we're going to see the market from deaKer, as I assume he's going to try and use that to rush to Castle Age here. But he has stopped making archers, so I think he's just going to want eagles in the long term. Maybe go all in eagles. I read the book 5 times and did not like the Dune movie. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, the production quality was good, but my biggest pet peeve, and I feel like it's really common today, is when people rush plot points. So I don't want to spoil anything. I'm going to talk about a show that many people might have not have watched the 3rd season of. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like Ted Lasso, okay? Great show. And I did really like all the seasons and episodes, but it clearly, in my opinion, came to the decision that, you know, we're done after this season. We need to tie up this, that, and the other. And I just felt like, while it was still good, they rushed a lot. Kind of like deaKer hasn't rushed in this game, right? And deaKer wants to go all in eagles. And he lost every single archer he had. Really giving st4rk a chance to hang around here. I don't think there's any holes in the walls. These crazy, 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 ridiculous walls. And yeah, the plan for deaKer is eagles. So if in 2 minutes he can have these eagles anywhere around these archers, he will return the favor. But like this game, has been so unfortunate, or not fortunate for Stark, but it's been awkward for Stark. But he finds himself in a position he found himself in the previous game, where he just has a lot of army in late Feudal while deaKer's on the way to Castle Age. And he's forcing reactions from deaKer. And Villager goes down. If deaKer's day... It's as if deaKer's day could somehow get worse. Looks like these units could actually break through right before he hits Castle Age. These Eagles are waiting. Stark trying. The scout goes down. Okay, Stark's not going to break through here. Nice job from deaKer. Forced to add a couple extra units to chip away at these archers, but these Eagles, I think if they were able to get here right now, they would completely cut off the escape of these archers. Brad, this is the last set of the day, yes. I'm very tired all of a sudden. I'm sorry. I think going from a co-caster to no co-caster doesn't help, but also the first two sets were bangers. So, all right, here comes deaKer. And deaKer will probably want to go forward siege here on this hill. And now he wants these archer kills, right? But because the Eagles were here, like he knew these archers were going to run away. Because the Eagles were here and the Eagles didn't loop around at all these archers are able to escape. I feel like it's a really big mistake there from deaKer. And Stable's going to go up for Stark, so he's going to go into Knights in combination with his archers. Eagle count's currently at 8. There's just 2 barracks now for deaKer, who's got plenty on golds, but he has no real way to do any damage to Stark right now. Stark's going to see that siege workshop. He was going to go 2 stables anyways, I'm sure, but that's just an invitation for Stark to add the second stable. Stark has the stone behind here, so he'll take a bit of stone to recoup the cost of that tower. And Stark needs to defend from this push with a couple knights and crossbowmen and bodkin, which is still going to take some time. He's still 50 seconds away. deaKer's getting that mass going. The first mangonel's on the way. We'll have Monk on the way as well. I'd love to see a third barracks here from deaKer. I love the gate. But if you're all in, I think you really have to make it count here. But honestly, he's not... It doesn't seem like he really has the wood for it, in all honesty. It's not like he's not doing it when he's in a position to. Yeah, every decider will go on the extras channel. Everything I cast will be on extras. So hello to people at extras later on. Mangonel being repaired. Stark now has 0 golds. Stark cannot afford to get crossbow. Stark cannot afford to get bodkin. deaKer just needs to hold this position. Literally all the gold for your opponents on the front. I don't actually even think that you need to kill him here. I think the longer you keep him off gold, the smaller his army becomes over time, and the bigger your army becomes. Stark will really struggle here. I think he needs a market too. Maybe sell some of that wood. We just have the first armor upgrade for deaKer, I'm noticing. So he doesn't have a ton of upgrades here. And he's only going to have 1 monk. He should get 1 conversion. He'll go for the conversion. The villager goes down. And no, he converts the weak knight. He converts the weak knight. He can't repair the mangonel anymore. But he still will hold this position. I can see him maybe considering buying stone in this position. Dropping the second TC. Again, still would really like to see the third barracks. We've got more villagers heading forward, so deaKer can continue this push. Stark does not have gold income. If he had any gold, I think he would have had enough knights to engage there. But he just does not have the gold. Also, my chat's bugged on my other monitor right now, so I can only see chat from my stream PC when people type and it's on my on-chat overlay. Stark's alive. He's hanging in there, and if you don't have gold, Lightcap feels like a good play. And that's what he's going for. These 2 villagers here to repair the mango. And then deaKer can pressure near the tower again. Still all in from deaKer. Still just 1 upgrade from that blacksmith. I think you've at the very least got to get forging here. Just get a little bit of extra attack. Lightcap from Stark showing up. They want the monks. And the light cav kill one of the monks. Hello, random villager. And just one monk down. More monks exposed. Weak light cav, though. And deaKer loses another monk. And keeps the next one alive as he's still pressuring gold. Now, at the same time, here's Stark going for a town center. Now, earlier in this game, deaKer sat a skirmisher on that gold just to keep an eye on it. It seems like he's noticed now, right? I think he's noticed. Stark has nothing, guys. Stark is toast. Even if he gets his TC up, these mangonels are going to take out the TC from a good hill position. Yeah, taking the stable out's perfect. Don't kill your own eagles. Oh, God. Okay, well, you know, take it out in a slightly different way. Tack round, thank you. I think if you do that, that's then he kills his own monk as well. That is one less unit, one less production building that Stark has to make light cat out of. Stark has done a really good job killing the monks, but I still don't know how he takes gold. deaKer really feeling like he can't protect his mangonels right now. Is Stark doing a good job to bait him out of position from time to time? Stark does have the market to be able to sell some resources here or there, and Stark's been picking off the monks. He's going to pick off the mangonels now. Gets the next one. Okay. Still such a big, massive eagles. Actually, deaKer can just run in. He probably won't because he needs to protect his siege, but he honestly could run into Stark's eco. There's lots of kills to be found there. And another monk gets sniped. It's like anytime deaKer goes to send a monk forward, it gets sniped. Here goes Stark again, trying to bait deaKer out of position. Stark actually thinking about guard tower to protect his golds. I mean, it might need a tower here again then. This TC is going to go down. And Stark clicks the crossbowman upgrade for the units that he has. But he doesn't have them in a position of value right now. Where are they, actually? Oh, they're right there. I just couldn't see them. Okay. Light cav sniping another siege weapon. Holy cow. How is Stark still alive? And he has had stone. He could kind of take gold. I wonder if Stark sees the gold in the north. I assume not, right? If he had scouted this, it would have maybe changed the game. Stark just keeps hanging around. He will now drop as deaKer kills more of his own eagles by mistake. He's going to drop another tower. Again, he's hoping for the guard tower upgrade, which costs wood and food, I think. It just feels like there's all this army for deaKer and he can't really do a lot with it. And Stark keeps baiting him out of position. Again, another mangonel goes down. Stark is playing insane, and deaKer kills more of his own units. He's killed 7 of his own units this game. Oh, jeez. Now, deaKer is on 3 TCs now, right? So he still has that eco lead. There's the 3rd town center. Maybe he could still build up for a castle here later on, as long as he could just stay here. Stark's going to have crossbow. Stark's going to have light cav. Stark will also have knights, but he's not going to have light cav and knights any longer because good moment there from deaKer. Knight from deaKer ran into raid. deaKer's economy still better, still making eagles. Still trying to apply pressure, but Stark just will not go away. Stark is really frustrating to play against. I'll tell you guys this firsthand. Because, like, he just can't kill the guy, right? And he plays so defensive, you feel like taking the map and playing all in against him is the way. But he just does not die. That's exactly what we've seen here. But he still should die because deaKer has a 20 lead on him. And Stark just still cannot mine gold easily. And for deaKer, he could even go for a 4th town center at some point, maybe to protect this gold. He's adding another barracks. He's getting final armor. And Stark has had to drop a castle, which he's now dropping. A little risky. But doesn't look like deaKer can see it. And this castle will actually give Stark consistent access to gold. So the first thing I think Stark will do now that he's about to have consistent access to gold is he's just going to raid at deaKer's base. It feels like the most natural play. So you raided deaKer's base to distract him, And then when deaKer's dealing with that, you try and take the hill back, would be my guess. He's already been doing such a good job with the light cav. It would feel like a natural move. Town center number 3 technically, but number 2 in terms of what's on the map for Stark. That's in the back. He's just trying to stay safe. And yeah, here, you can see it already. Little counter attack, because you can take gold and you can breathe a little bit. And then a couple units came in here to maybe snipe the mangonel. He's taking gold in both spots here. He's had a really bad map. But Stark's still alive. He's 30 villagers behind, though. And for deaKer, you just got to get a castle up here and head up to Imp. Or you could, like, just a defensive castle so you don't take damage. Or an aggressive castle to deny these golds. Either one. And I think you're going to be in a good spot. Stark still doesn't have the light cav or night numbers to be able to compete. He's working on it. And he's also adding Chukunu. He's also adding crossbows. So it could get dangerous pretty soon. So if that castle's going to come up, you need to do it soon. Good job from Stark to try and counterattack. Palisade will go down. deaKer will have units in his base now. Bit different than the previous game, though, where it was like a 14-minute game. This game, he's got a 30-villager lead when this happens. But look, he sends the Eagles home. And then Stark he knows. He reads the game so well, and he just goes to the hill, takes out the siege, takes out the monks, says thank you very much. Also bringing over the crossbows, also still running around with the light cav and the knights. Meanwhile, Stark's just getting time. Lots and lots and lots and lots of time. The Chukunu and knights, though, will be completely overwhelmed. Stark's getting a little too creative for his own good right now. Ooh, and here come the villagers from deaKer. And this means deaKer can drop the castle on this gold. He can drop a castle that will take Stark off of both of these golds. He just needs to bring his eagle. Like, once the castle's up, you then just bring your eagles home and deal with all the raids. And then you're fine. Oh, man. The mangonel. Oh, God. Stark's making a castle. This is so messy. Okay, castle's on the way up for both players. Feels like deaKer's castle will go up. Stark's going to probably try and use this crossbows versus the Vills, but this is at 60%. The Eagles were lured out of his position. No. No way, dude. No way! Are you kidding me? What is happening? Disaster for deaKer. He has to abandon the castle because it was going to be denied. And now it's double castle from Stark. And this castle you're never going to complete if you're deaKer. And so Stark goes from not being able to have any gold to being able to have all the gold. And deaKer's going to try and finish this. There's no way. Oh, it's a doubt castle for deaKer. And now he's got no army. And Stark can make Chukunu. And deaKer's sending more Vills because he's down 2-0. And this is really bad already. And there's probably frustration. And there's sadness. And all types of different emotions. But Stark has simply just housed it off. And Stark is going to... I mean, he still could lose this game, which is the wild thing. But he is going to run with this, man. And he's going to do some damaging things to deaKer because... like, this castle, that's a good defensive castle, but it doesn't protect this gold. It doesn't protect this vulnerable area. And I think Stark could actually just move forward with Chukunu. I think Chukunu are actually... right now, a massive, like, 15 Chukunu is good enough against Castle Age Eagles. In the Imperial Age, though, deaKer could have some problems. Or give him some problems. Okay, so he's going to go up to Imp. He has the back golds. He's got some more stone coming in. He drops a castle here. Okay, so now deaKer's just going to raid Stark. I like this. Don't give him fights where he wants the fights. Try and raid different positions of Stark's economy. Good defense here from Stark. Good house walling. And he will need to maybe consider some army here to protect this. So into the towers he goes. Tower fire, knights, all that will be helpful, but the Eagles are going to go through. We have Chukunu underneath the castle, which was not on my bingo card today. And Stark now and trying to defend from these Eagles, which we're going to see more of from deaKer, I'm sure. Meanwhile, deaKer making a mad dash over here to get more gold. He really needs more gold for more eagles. He's still got a nice eco lead. Stark is still kind of forever castle age, it feels like. But Stark's got... His eco's getting better and better here with 90 villagers. He's got decent amounts on food, gold, and everything. And there will be no forward castle. So with no forward castle for deaKer, he could have some small issues. Knights will clear this up. Chukunu and crossbowmen are here. The eagle number is only 4 for deaKer. He will be an imp in 50 seconds. His army count's abysmal for this type of a situation. And it's just like... there's just so much happening right now. And it feels like the player who should be dictating the pace of the game and controlling the game actually has lost control. At this point, just don't waste any army and just chill if you're deaKer for the first 3 minutes of Imp. Just relax, man. Just relax. You have 2 castles, right? The worst thing you can do for yourself is take fights right now. Just wait it out. Stark's not going to let him wait. Especially after seeing Imp, Stark's going to pressure, right? He's going for the barracks. He's bringing forward the ram. Again, I like Chukunu against Castle Age Eagles because Chukunu have 8 base attacks, so they've got a little bit more... They pack a little bit more punch. They also have a lot more firing delay, though. Can't afford to lead Eagle Warrior. He will lose this barracks. He's trying to use the Scorpion against the ranged units back here. Again, it's just patience here. Like, you're still not dying to this. It obviously sucks. And Stark's doing a really good job, but deaKer's doing a good job to hold. Okay. Eagles here. Imp armor now. That armor will be helpful. deaKer trying to avoid this and go to Stark's base. I think deaKer could get trapped here. If Stark is able to get the wall here and here. Oh, trap! Trap! Stark! Trap! Trap! Hello, it's a trap! 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 Okay, I don't know what's happening. There's an army over here. Okay, well, those are Stark quick walls for you. deaKer is through. Thankfully for him. He needed that. Stark with 26 Chukunu. Stark with a bunch of knights. He's going to run right into deaKer's economy. deaKer has idle time like you wouldn't believe, but so does Stark. This game is incredibly messy. And Stark's done a great job to come back in it, right? You give him an inch, he'll take a mile. He's that type of player. But it is Elite Eagle now for deaKer. He's at 19 Eagles. He's got 2 castles. Needs to deal with this. A little bit of raids here on the gold. Not bad. Raids back here will go down now. Make that 11 Eagles. Okay, so you need to avoid the castle fire because double castle fire can really hurt. You need to find eco damage with the eagles, or you build up with one gigantic snowball. This is a weird capture age bug. It seems like deaKer is going for the raid approach. Good find here. He'll find that gold. And he's going to have enough for another castle as well soon. He's trying to hit different areas. He's been on this gold for a very long time, too. I think you should even consider selling some of that stone if that means you can get El Dorado here. Getting to 100 HP on your eagles is massive. And again, we saw him go to the south. We've seen him in the north. He's trying to split sides. Stark has his Chukunu in just one area, and Stark has to decide on where he goes. And that's not going to be easy for Stark. deaKer's got this now, I think. He's doing a good job. Stark damage control time everywhere you look. Villagers here. Stark quick walls. Nice. He'll save those vills. Stark may be thinking about a castle here because there's golden stone around. El Dorado is pretty expensive. Again, it feels like it could be doable for deaKer, and he might be saving for it because he's not producing any more eagles right now. Okay, he's actually going for help. What's Stark's imp comp? Like having Chukunu. Like having Chukunu is really good. It's underrated. And it is much better on your gold cost. And if you think about it, Stark has all 3 of his golds, and then he has the neutral gold. And Stark still will have stone for another castle, maybe. This might go 200 pop for both players. Especially if you get rocketry on your Chukunu, too. No real easy position to push from if you're deaKer. Like, I guess ideally you would have a castle here and then Treb here. These are not elite Chukunu. And they're shredding the Eagles pretty quickly. But Eagles able to spread out from time to time. deaKer still protecting the gold. I think it's a game that could have gone much better for him in the earlier stages, but he's sorting it out now. He'll start to snag the relics. It's even going to be Cavalier for Stark. So double gold comp from him. And Stark really needs to decide on where he wants to place that castle. Yeah, deaKer was scared it could be Cav, which is why he went Halb. So we'll have to have the Eagles and the Halbs together here, but Stark will take that fight. Cavalier can trade very nicely against Eagles. And finally, El Dorado now for deaKer. Stark has the population lead. Stark has the army lead. Stark has the technology lead. Like, Stark is brought himself back from the freaking dead for the 2nd time in this series. And he's been massing the Trebs, and he's just been waiting. By the way, did Stark get rocketry, guys? Oh, God. Oh, Stark, move this direction. Finds the castle. And at the same time, you can tell deaKer split. He's like, okay, I need the Halbs here. I need the Eagles here. And Stark's now going to Treb push this castle. And there's rocketries. That answers the question. He also could afford elite Chukunu, which I think you need to do. You have a lot of range units. You need to make sure that you've as many upgrades as possible. Here come the Eagles. Rocketry's going to be in 5 seconds. They fire an extra little bolt here. And Stark blocks off the Trebs and says, good luck here, Eagles. So when they fire, they're doing a lot of damage. And these aren't elite Chukunu, and the Eagles are still very high Pierce armor. So the Eagles can be strong enough. Honestly, I think here you just snipe the Trebs and you get out of here if you can, if you're deaKer. Kind of a hard fight for me to call, but I think Stark wanted the castle, so he'll take that. Meanwhile, over here, we're still no trebuchets from either player to push that area. Now we'll probably see Stark just swing his Trebs over there. Right now, he's just going to take out these buildings. And we've got Halbs underneath the castle right now for deaKer. You got to make Trebs, dude. You either need Trebs or you need enough Eagles to run past this castle. I'm worried deaKer will run out of gold. He's got this gold. That's his 32 on gold. And then he has 1 relic. And Eagles are really costly in the gold department. Okay. I mean, it's an interesting strat. Stay underneath their castle and pray they don't get murder holes. Here come the Trebs from Stark, though. And he doesn't really seem to care about the fact there's Halbs there. His Chukunu are on the way. And there's a hole here. Stark will have some units on the gold, and the rest of units run into deaKer's economy. It's 70 army for Stark. Soon fully upgraded in like every possible way. From the blacksmith to the castle and whatever else. And the Halbs will be no match for the Chukunu and the castle fire. It's the Eagles that's needed. And the house from Stark. He doesn't get it down. He does get that one down, though. And so the Eagles path into the Chukunu. And they can't get to these Trebs. What a great play from Stark there. Not really something you can plan out. He did lose the majority of his cav with the raid. But no villagers on gold right now for deaKer. That's a big problem for him. Stark will lose some villagers here and put out the fire with that raid. He'll drop a castle here. That means he's building towards a line of castles along the front of his base. And deaKer, concerned about things, is researching Hulche. And that gives his skirmishers that they'll fire an extra bolt, which could be quite good. 2-2 on relics now. This is going to be relic number 3. But how on earth are we here? And how do you stop fully upgraded Lycav and fully upgraded Chukunu with these 4 Trebs? I think the answer would be more Eldorado Eagles. But if you only have 14 Eagles, I don't think you have the army to stop this if you're deaKer. He does 2 castles. Could maybe make a third somewhere defensively, but remember, he can't raid because his civilization can't make light cav. Stark happy to make light cav. He's up to 63 farms. Lots of halbs, though, from deaKer still within his walls, and he's going to build up these skirms. Finally making some trebs, making a treb here. And let's see if Stark will focus down this castle next. I don't know if Thumb Ring was researched. I also don't know how much Thumb Ring helps the Chukunu. I imagine it's helpful, though, but I'm going to assume that Stark does have that upgrade. Need a lot of upgrades. Rocketry, Elite Chukunu. Obviously, you need the castles. Full blacksmith upgrades. Little concerning for Stark. I think he may be looking at the raids. And always through with the big group here. And that's why deaKer is making that castle. deaKer using his own trebs to try and take out Stark's trebuchets. Yeah, just go for the trebs here, deaKer. Take out those trebs and call it a day. Just back up. Let those Chukunu stand there. Well played from him. So he'll keep his castle up. But guys, there's light cav everywhere in his economy right now. He's lost over 100 villagers. Stark has been insane. Stark has found raids everywhere. And has made what has been an awful map into a somewhat decent position, utilizing the hills. And as long as there's holes, he's going to keep sending light cav on through. And waiting for his moment. deaKer at 160 pop, 92 vills, 69 army though. It's 69 army, and he just took out Stark's trebs. So, if he's able to get the trebs pumping onto a castle, then, you know, he takes out a castle, and then suddenly the Eagle or Halb or Skirm raids would be a possibility for him. Like, this castle here hasn't been up that long, 12 kills already. This castle here, 18. This castle, 11. This castle here, 7. The castles in your eco are really important. Which is why deaKer made this castle, because these raids are getting so bad, and Stark goes right to that back wood line. Stark also split up his cav and is in this position. And now Stark needs to defend from these trebs. Stark is everywhere right now. Everywhere I go, there's light cav. 120 villagers killed now. Yeah, it is true. Losing villagers with Mayans isn't that big a deal. My concern, mainly, as these Hulcha skirms are very strong, is I don't know what happens once the gold is completely drained. I think Skirm and Halb can be good, but I think the fact that you can't really... Oh my god, he just wrecked those Chukunu. Okay, that's amazing. These Skirms almost look like it's 10 times tech right now with that tech, but you can't kill Stark's eco because Stark has defensive castles and walls everywhere. So how do you grind down Stark here? I don't think you do it easily. Stark's got siege rams on the archer ranges, so he'll take out the archer range production. And again, loses a couple vills here. Fine, he's got a castle to protect him. He's completely fine. And your answer to siege rams would have to be halbs here for deaKer. So he'll probably bring all of his halbs here, but now the Chukunu are going to be in this position as well. There's not many archer ranges for deaKer, so he needs more ranges. Or to maybe bring the skirms over. Because otherwise he will lose the ranges. And he'll actually lose his castle as well, honestly. 31 light cav in queue for Stark. Second game in this series, he's researched stone shaft mining with very little stone available. He actually, well, okay, in the first game he did it when he had 0 on stone. In this case, he only has 2 on stone, which... I mean, techs are cheaper with Chinese, so maybe it's worth it. All right, skirms get brought over now. Let's see how this goes. There wasn't a siege ram meat shield earlier. So I think the way to micro this is to pull your light cap back to bring the halbs into the Chukunu fire. You also need to have all your Chukunus firing, so that wasn't the best fight for Stark. But the rams still haven't gone down. The castle's still exposed. There's still a treb here. And Stark's going to have more and more light cav in this position. And pretty soon, deaKer's going to lose this hill. If he loses this hill, it'll probably be castled by Stark, who's building up stone with the stone shaft mining to be able to make another castle. I think he would actually opt for a more like defensive castle, but the army count's dropping for deaKer. The eco count still 116, but no gold and no skirms. Without skirms, he has to rely on eagles. He's making more eagles now. He's 10 on the field. He's got 11 more in queue. So he's kind of going through what's left of his gold here in a panic, realizing that this could get bad for him. And I know Stark. I've seen Stark for so long, guys. And deaKer's going to find moments like this. That's a nice raid. But Stark does not lose games like this in post-imp when he has the castle set up. He just doesn't. You can't raid him if you can't make horses. Stark's woodlines, his farms, everything's going to be super protected. He will never overchop. And I'm feeling pretty bad for deaKer here because I think he could have shown a bit more in this series. Game number 1 was one he absolutely could have won. If you were to ask him, he would say he should have won it. Game number 2 was just a rookie mistake. And then game number 3, he would also say, had the lead, could have won this game, could have done more, and could have won the series. But Stark just hangs around. So it wasn't a series that really gets you excited for Stark to be like, wow, look how he could just kill people, and wow, crazy, crazy. But Stark's gold quality, because he never breaks, and he's super consistent, and he's a fighter. Stark will be back in Gold League. Congratulations to him. And I'm excited to see Stark in Gold because I do not know Stark's life. I do not know his situation, but last time he was in Gold, from what we gathered from the scheduling or lack thereof at times, was he was very busy. And I've noticed that Stark has been incredibly active across the scene, playing a lot more ranked games and presumably training for this. I'm not exactly sure. So I think he definitely is going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder and is definitely back in a competitive mindset. I will have Hardy edit this in if I'm wrong later, but I'm pretty sure that Stark didn't lose a single game in this qualifier. 4 rounds, a best of 3, a best of 3. He probably had a bye in the first round, to be honest, but even still, best of 3, best of 3, best of 5, best of 5. It was 2-0 Stark, 2-0 Stark, 3-0 Stark, 3-0 Stark. So you can't say he doesn't deserve it, and he definitely stood out above the rest in his group. GG.